So this week's recitation is work on Homework 2, Part 2. Homework 2, Part 2 will cover the Chapter 2, the United Economy. And the main core issue in that chapter is trying to answer how, what, for whom to produce in the United States. So the first question we will be asked is what percentage of this total was produced by the largest economy? In order to answer this question, you need to understand these two following questions. The first, how can we evaluate the economy? Second, how can we find the largest economy? So in Chapter 1 we mentioned what to produce, and we emphasized the GDP, the gross domestic product, and we use it to value what to produce in one economy. So obviously, if we know the value of the GDP, we know the size of the economy. Therefore, in this question, you can see this photo. Each country are ranked by the size of the GDP. So how can we read this graph? The length of the graph measures the relative size of the GDP. So Haiti, the first country here, obviously it has the lowest GDP, so it means Haiti is the smallest economy. How about U.S., United States? It has 14.6 and it has the highest rectangle, so that means the United States have the largest economy. So now you can answer the first question. Which country has the largest economy? So that is the United States. Now let's look at the question. What percentage of this total was produced by the largest economy? If we try to paraphrase this, this question is trying to ask you, what percentage of this total was produced by the United States? Now the question raised. So what is the total GDP in this question? So you need to look very carefully on the graph. On the bottom of the graph, it said in 2010 the world's total output, the GDP, was roughly $70 trillion. So now you know the total GDP is $75 trillion. Now we can come to find our answer by writing down some equation and plugging number. In order to know what is percentage of the United States take up of the total, the whole world GDP, what we need to do is to do some calculation. So the numerator will be the numerator will be the US GDP. And divide by the total, the world GDP. And don't forget about the times 100% because it asks you the percentage. Now we can plug in the data. What we need to do is, the numerator is 14.6. So now you want to ask me, should I add an extra 90 following this number because it's $1 trillion? My answer is unnecessary because the world GDP is also measured by the $1 trillion. So if they are measured by the same unit, you don't need to convert it to dollars. So you just use 14.6 divided by 75 and times 100%. Now you can use the calculator to calculate the final answer. So I've already helped you to calculate it. So use 14.6 divided by 75, you will get 0.19466666. So if we only keep one decimal and the time by 100%, and what we will have for this question, that is 19.5%. So that means the United States take up 19.5% of the world GDP. Wow, think about how many countries in the world, probably around 50, right? But for the United States, it takes up 95% of the global economy. So that's really a big portion, right?